So I was just reading over your form, and I think it's your husband.
Yes.
Ran off the parking.
Yes.
So, obviously very high energy here.
Yeah, very high energy. He's going to be, we think, about 75 pounds, so probably about 20 more to go.
Sure.
The things we've learned about him so far, he'll be 9 months towards the end of February. He's highly motivated by food. We've had like 3 different vets tell us that. Another trainer we saw was like, he's like on the extreme end of motivation by food.
Sure.
And he's very anxious, and as you can see in new situations, probably not super uncommon, but he's just like, gets all worked up. And the other thing we deal with him is just like walking him. He's very friendly with dogs. He like does the lay down. Okay. He lays down when he sees other dogs, but he just gets like overly excited. New people, new dogs, new situations.
Sure.
So I think just in an effort to like living in this city, like we take him to dog parks, like feel safe with him, you know, being able to run around and not get distracted and potentially run away, or not pull us on walks, like pull us over, especially on the ice in the winter. And he's so anxious. I think those are like the biggest things we're trying to figure out a solve for.
Okay. And what have you done with him yourself?
So we have, we've worked with him on...
I injured my back. So
oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, let me hold him. Come here, bud. So we have worked with him on, he knows how to sit, he knows how to lay down, and whenever we feed him, we make him lay down with his food out, and he has to wait for us to tell him to go, and he will do that. We try to work on like holding him when we walk like really tight, and like kind of like correcting him when he pulls. He still pulls quite a bit. And he can do weight. So like if he sits and we walk away and then say like come and we have a treat, like he'll wait as far back as you walk away, and then when you say come, he'll come to you.
Sure.
So he can do like a couple things. He at home with us, he's very calm. He's very like well behaved, 100% potty trained. He doesn't go in the house ever. It's just like when we take him out, new situation, we walk him. He's just got all this energy, and he's just whenever other people even have treats like at a dog park or anything, he just jumps on them. It's just like so motivated by food.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay. I'm assuming before reaching out, you did some research on me and how we train, the methods that we use.
Yes. Yeah. We actually some people we've met at the dog park that have labs, or if they've worked with you in the past.
Oh, okay. What park do you go to?
The Travis Park.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think you have like all those dogs.
Yeah. So they hear Travis, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Right near there.
So, the biggest problem I see here with this guy, I mean, he does seem like a bit of a drivey dog.
Yeah.
Is it's just he doesn't have any boundaries. No one's told him no.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
He's not no in the way that he understands.
Yeah.
Us behavior.
Right.
You know. Back. All you can move today. Did he park in the building? Lot there, or you got the top, that spots, clean the house. Hey, he parked in the wrong spot again.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, let you go.
Let me take it off.
That's fine. So here, you have a highly overstimulated dog.
Yep.
And some of this is just him.
Yep.
Some of this is just nonsense.
Sure.
So with his energy, if he came like all that he did here, one of my dogs, what do you think they would do?
They'd freak out, probably. I don't know.
And what would that look like?
I'm sorry, one of your dogs
Like my
are trained?
dogs. So like my personal dogs?
Yeah, yeah.
So my dogs are stable.
Yeah.
They're calm dogs.
Okay. It
And-
probably scares them or makes them nervous, maybe.
And how do you think they would stop him?
Growling or, I don't know. Your dogs probably aren't aggressive, but yeah. Yeah.
So biting doesn't make a dog aggressive.
Okay.
Okay? Biting is a form of communication in their language.
Got it.
And that's what people misinterpret.
Got it.
Is, it's okay. Is this energy is unstable energy.
Mhm.
Hi.
Hey, sorry about that.
Just so you know, we record our sessions and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So don't be mean. Yeah, this energy is unstable in the animal world. Okay. People tend to see it as excitement or just too friendly.
Yeah.
And actually, another dog, if he came up to him with that kind of energy, I would anticipate he'd get nipped or bitten. Okay. So for humans, we correct our children by spanking, or at least we used to. I was spanked, I was in middle school. So physicality to deter behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So if I talk back to my mom, if I didn't do my homework, or if I didn't do my chores, I spanked for each one of those things, right? To motivate me to either do my chores or to not talk back to my mom,
Mhm.
right? So in the dog world, they bite each other. That is a form of spanking. Does that make a dog aggressive? An aggressive dog is a dog that bites for like everything and for any little thing. Kind of like a person who just gets like super angry for the tiniest thing, like anger management issues, right? Kind of like that. So like if I see a dog and I'm going to touch it, and the dog starts to back away, and I keep going to touch it, and ultimately the dog is trapped, and the dog goes, I can't go anywhere, and it bites me. Does that make that dog aggressive?
No,
No, why?
he's defensive.
Be defensive, right? He's protecting himself. He's scared. He's backing away.
Yeah.
He doesn't want conflict. An aggressive dog, which is bite you for the sake of biting you, and that's actually super, super, super rare.
Mhm.
I get, maybe one dog a year like that.
Yeah.
Most dogs that come in that are aggressive due to a reason. Okay, it's usually mostly frustration or just lack of boundaries. Okay, so this guy's energy when he comes in, he's just all over the place, right? And part of it, of course, I can see a bit of a drivey dog, right? But also just the lack of formal boundaries, at least in the manner that he understands. I know you said that he shortened the leash and you tried to correct him and stuff,
Yeah.
he's still just all over the place, because he doesn't understand it.
Right.
Okay, so here, that's why I put him on the slip lead here,
Yep.
to tone down his energy. And what I've done is what's called pressure work. Okay, so when you saw me, and I'm not putting a lot of strength behind, I'm just using a couple of fingers here, but I was putting tension on him whenever I disagreed with something, and you saw me putting my hand on his hindquarters to make him what looks like a sit, right? But it's not a sit. What is it?
Like calm? Or,
Yes, relax.
Yeah, relax.
Okay, so there's a difference between behavior and obedience. So to the untrained eye, it looks like, oh, Jesse's just making the dog sit, right? So a lot of people think it's obedience, right? But I'm really telling the dog, cut the crap and relax. If I use sound, sit. The brain's so overstimulated one ear, not the other, or it creates more energy. Sit, sit, hey, sit. And you see how he's starting to move now?
Mhm.
Because energy. I've not said anything.
Mm-hmm.
I simply use my tool here, my leash, and keeping him under pressure. So I was putting, when he was moving, I was putting tension here and guiding the body, and you saw him moving back because pressure is discomfort. So he didn't want to be in the discomfort. So I bring him in, I go, the only way to not be in discomfort is to be here and chill. And now I can have a slack leash and a calmer dog, right? But because he's so used to movement, that's why he was fine for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he got up and he came over here because his brain, like here, wants to keep going.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm countering, and I'm saying you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Okay? So behavior and obedience. Obedience is mechanical control. Get over here. Sit down, right? Lay down. But he can be laying down and still be alert.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're doing food training,
Right.
you probably see that.
Yes, where he's alert, yep.
Yeah, okay? We don't really want that.
Okay.
Okay? You already have a Drivey dog. You don't want more drive.
Yeah.
Okay, unless you're like gonna go hunting with them or something, that's where drag comes into play.
Right.
For the average family pet, you really don't want a drag dog.
Yeah.
Okay? We want a dog that listens, okay? Now we cannot take the drive out of him.
Right.
That's just his genetic code. But we can learn how to harness it and use it to our advantage. But I don't want to use food in most cases where I already have a dog that struggles with stimulation issues.
How much of that is like his age?
Just him.
Got it.
I know the whole, like the dog will grow out of it or calm down over years. I'm sure, like, you know, maybe when he's a senior and stuff. But like my stepdad, he has border collies, and he does herd sheep herding competitions.
Yeah.
And they would sheep herd until they were 15, 16 years old.
Got
They
it.
just couldn't go as long, but they had the drive for it, right? Whenever there'd be sheep around, you would just see them laser focused,
Yeah.
right? So, and we're talking older.
Yeah.
You know, this is why dogs with drive are, you know, police dogs, they're hunting dogs, because it's not, I mean, nobody wants a dog that's only gonna do it for a year,
Yeah.
right? They're gonna want that to last,
Right.
because they're gonna put a lot of time, a lot of effort, you know, finance into that dog. You don't wanna do that for a dog that's only gonna work for a year,
Right.
So, a lot of this is just him,
Okay.
and also just lack of formal boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's possible that his drive could be lower than we think, because no one's actually put rules on him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when people come in, they go, my dog is high energy. And I go look at them like, no, your dog just has not been told no.
Right. It just hasn't been formally trained yet.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, the way this works is, you know, I cover everything. People come in thinking they need one thing when really it's another thing.
Got it.
Right? So here they're like, they might say like, oh, I need my dog to be obedient and stuff because he's all over the place. I'm like, no, you just need to tell your dog to cut the crap.
Yeah.
You know? So like jumping on people, a lot of people say teach the dog to sit. Right? So, because if they're sitting, they can't jump on people. Well, if the dog's excited, they sit for a second, and then as soon as you come in, they jump.
Yeah.
You need to teach the dog not to jump.
Right.
And I actually don't care what the dog does, because if the dog, because that's the problem, is the jumping.
Yeah.
So if the dog's sitting or standing or laying down, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just don't want the dog to jump.
Right.
Right? So it's actually simpler than people think.
Yeah. With that though, it's like, it's weird because you can tell, like we've been trying to work on that just with our own, and like, you can tell he realizes, so when we go to like a dog park, he doesn't jump on people unless they have like treats or like food, and like, this like we're really untrained, so like it kind of seems like he's very food motivated, and so like, he wants, excuse me, like, he understands that. It's just like, I guess, setting the boundary or whatever we're gonna do in order to like fully curb it.
Right, well that's why I was saying that you don't want to use food, because food makes him more
Right.
drivey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because in that setting, like he's fine with people, but then when there's food involved, he'll jump on it or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
And it's really just teaching them when there's food around, you don't get this worked up.
Yeah.
And also that food has nothing to do with you.
Right.
Right? Just
yeah.
because you're a cute dog doesn't mean you're gonna get food from everybody.
That's the big. That's one of the big issues.
Yes.
It's just
Correct.
like whenever someone has like a treat or like food at the park, it's just like he's like trying to use like the frontal line. It's just like he needs to like stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like given this here, right? You see how he's starting to wag his tail and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not giving him any energy. That's the brain's inability to really settle.
Got it.
Okay? And again, I don't care, like right now he's sitting up and he was laying down earlier, but what I'm wanting is less energy.
Yeah.
Okay?
So how much of that is like, so when he's just very comfortable with us, obviously, but like when he's around us, he's super chill, like 99% of the time. Whereas like if he has someone new come into the fold, he just gets like super stimulated and like excited. So it's like the part of the training, just like teaching him that if someone new comes into the fold, like it doesn't matter. Got it.
Yeah. I don't mind that he gets excited.
Yeah.
Right? He likes people, great. I don't want him to get overexcited or get stuck.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens is people have a guest come over and dogs for like 30 minutes.
Right.
All over the place, you know? And then like any little movement that the new stimuli does triggers the dog again. So like the dog's non-stop.
Yeah.
And it can be overbearing, right?
Yeah.
And I get that a lot too. Our dog's great 99% of the time. It's that 1% of the time when we're out. Right? Then it's like, well, actually your dog is great in the home, but not so great outside.
Yeah,
when there's new
exactly.
things, which is actually a whole different type of percentage.
Yeah,
right?
that's right, yeah.
So here, you know, you don't have a bad dog, just happen to have a dog that has no formal rules or boundaries, okay? So within everybody that you met at Travis Park, of course, has trained, or most of them have trained with me, have trained on e-collar, right? So you may have seen it, it's got that little black box in the back and stuff, right? So I'll explain how that works and how all this stuff works and everything. So e-collar, a lot of people call it a shock collar. Shock comes from one of two things. One, when they first came out, they were not as refined as they are today. The ones back then had like maybe 5 levels. The ones we use today have 127 levels. Okay, so 5 and 127 are the same, but I have 122 more divisions. Okay, so it's more refined, 42, 41, 46. I can really fine tune it to the dog or the situation. Whereas before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if your dog was listening to 2 but yelping at 3, you were stuck. Okay? It was either too high or too low. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is most of the dog training world is positive reinforcement, meaning food only. Okay, they don't do corrections or aversives. This is technically considered an aversive. Okay, but this is what aversives are meant for. They're meant to deter or stop certain things. I want your dog to calm down, and then what did I create? Calmness. Right? No treats or anything like that. So positive reinforcement, they use words like shock, torture, painful, hurt, all that stuff to deter people from using aversives or these tools. But, you know, I ask people, like, have you ever seen a dog give another dog a treat? Have you ever seen another dog give a dog CBD or fluoxetine?
Yeah.
Right? Or have you ever seen a dog sit another dog down and talk to him and say, hey, we don't behave like that in the dog park?
Yeah.
No, they bite each other.
Right.
It's very simple. If they don't want another dog to do something to them, they bite them.
Right.
Does that make them aggressive? That is their language.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay? Humans, we have language.
Yeah.
Please give me space.
Yeah.
Right? What are you doing in my yard? Get out of my yard. Get off my car. Right? However, if that person does not comply, depending on the situation, you could escalate to a phone call. Call the police, 911. Hi, there's someone breaking into my home. Right? And we look to kind of a third party, whatever, to come in and take care of the situation. In the animal world, they care of the situation themselves. Okay?
Yeah.
So here, with the e-collar, it's actually what we call a miniaturized TENS unit. Have you ever been to a physical therapist or a chiropractor? No?
I know what TENS units are.
Yeah, the electrodes, and then like, you can get them at Walgreens now in the back section. Yep.
Exactly.
So it's just a muscle stimulator. So with the e-collar, there's 2 probes, and if you put on the dog's neck, it moves the neck muscles. If you put it like on your arm, it moves your arm muscles. If you put it on your palm, it moves your hand. Okay? So it just stimulates the muscle. There's no electricity running through your dog's body. It's not an electric current, you know, it's not like sticking your finger in an outlet or anything like that. It's a centralized current that just stimulates those muscles. Okay, it's perfectly waterproof, 1 mile, depending on the size, up to 1 mile range in terms of control. And I've been training with them for 10 years. Okay, every dog that I train over 6 months is trained on an e-collar. Okay, I don't use any other method. The reason, food only, has single digits success rates. Because you have to have, like for him, you have a very driven, food-driven, motivated dog. But it makes him too drivey.
Yeah.
Right? We want calmness. We don't want more drive.
Right.
So either we need to have a dog that's completely driven for food, doesn't care about the environment, wants to actually work. We need an owner that's consistent and willing to train their dog for years in order to get even just decent obedience. Okay? But also not 100% reliable. Because if he's chasing after a squirrel that's more rewarding, he's not going to want to return for the food.
Right.
Then we have prong collar. Prong collar is the spiky looking one. That one's better. It's 40 to 60% success rate. Problem is, when you remove the leash, we no longer have a means of reinforcing things. And dogs learn this, okay? They learn, oh, you don't have the leash on me anymore. I'm now not going to listen as well, okay? E-collar gets me as close to 100% reliability as you can get, okay? Even in emergency situations. So you guys know Nash with Melissa?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
White dog, about 90, 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Yep. So Nash broke her husband's shoulder like 2 or 3 times and sent him to the ER twice because he pulled so much.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they did e-collar. She was actually my first post-COVID client.
Okay.
I wish I would have filmed her Nash because it was such a 180. But a completely friendly dog broke the husband's shoulder just because of disobedience, right? But also for her, I think it was before we had our recall class, he took off on her.
Yeah.
Just ran off.
Yeah.
And then, but she was like, used the collar, and she made him come back.
Oh,
He
right.
yelped, but
Yeah.
he came back, right? And she was like, Jesse, it was either he ran to the street or, you know, I got him back.
Yeah.
I said, no, that's correct. That's like, that's what happens. So even in an emergency situation, you still have a means of control.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why e-collar, in my opinion, is the ultimate tool, because it's the only tool that can do that
Yep.
and gets me to as close to 100% reliability as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is we don't need food. Okay, especially with a guy like this, we don't need it. I get most of my clients are like 98, 90%. We don't use food.
Yeah.
The only time we use food is if I have a very insecure dog and we're trying to balance out the training, because pressure can sometimes be too much.
Yeah.
So we need a motivator. Okay, but a lot of times it's just too much for the average dog owner because you're not dog trainers.
Yeah.
You just want something that's going to work and get you reliability. Okay,
Right.
so e-collar alone can do that. Food can help,
Yeah.
and I'm not against it. It's just too many things to think about at once.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions so far?
I think so.
So, what really determines length of time and cost and stuff is simply like how much control do you want over your dog. Okay. So you're like in the 6, 9 to 12 class range. Okay. Think of 6 classes as we walk our dog and we go to the dog park. 9 classes is we walk our dog, go to the dog park, and go to restaurants with them. And the 12 classes would be we do all that stuff, plus we go hiking, go to the dog beach. He's going to be off leash in unenclosed areas. Like technically, Travis is unenclosed because there's outs there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is you're doing a ton of stuff with your dog. Okay. Now with each one of those 6, 9, or 12, the recall has to be off leash reliable. Okay. That's the only command that needs to be off leash reliable. All the other ones are really just if the owner wants. Okay?
Yeah.
So when we talk about 12 classes, we're talking sit, stay, down, come, place, heel. 6 commands built up to off leash reliability. Okay, but the one command that only really matters is the recall.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you just go to Travis and you walk your dog, you would be fine with 6. Okay, because with the 6 you're going to get your recall.
Yeah.
But also once you start to put rules, like right now, you see this guy how I'm not holding with the leash, right? All I did was put a few rules to him, and finally he caved in and said, fine, right? Because once you put rules on the brain, they're less impulsive.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not expecting that he's going to take off and run out the park. Okay?
Yeah.
Could it happen? Yes, if there's a rabbit who's got prey drive.
Yeah.
That actually happened. I don't know if you know Roxy.
Yeah, we were there for that.
Yeah.
Oh, were you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's talking about the rabbit, right? And then she had to 127 Roxy
all
to
the
get
way
her, yep, to get her back, right?
And she came back, yeah.
Yeah, that's the emergency type scenario that I talk about, right?
Yeah.
Because when people think about training, again, like I can't take the drive out of your dog. So with Roxy, we can't take the prey drive out of her.
Yeah.
We can harness it.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I think from what I remember, she was at Travis, and then the rabbit just kind of beamed across the field or something,
Yeah.
and then Roxy saw it, took off after the
Yeah.
rabbit, and then it went into like the playground, and it was.
No, we were there for it was
It's a
another
different
dog.
one, yeah.
Well, I guess on that, like on the recall, so like let's just say he bolts like into the street or heading toward the street.
Mhm.
Do you recall, like, is he able to stop on a dime and come back, or do they like mosey around and then they?
So we want 180.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, we want there's no moseying.
Okay.
Because moseying kills dogs.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right? Because if he's running towards the street, so the issue is the way we train. I explain everything to the people,
Yeah.
but people think differently.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to give their dog the opportunity to avoid the hit.
Yeah.
I use every opportunity to put in that tap to get that remote in. Okay, so what that means is the dog's running.
Yeah.
They call their dog. They give a 2 to 3 second delay before they kick in with the tap. Right. Whereas for me, I call the dog and immediately kick in with the tap.
Yeah.
There is no delay.
Yeah.
Because Because if they're running towards the street and you've issued the recall, and there's a 2 to 3 second delay before the dog responds,
It's enough time for it to,
it's going to be in the street, right?
it's gotta be right away.
So, but people, they feel bad, so they always give the dog, you know, space, and I'm like, you don't want to do that
Yeah.
because the one command, because everything kind of, there's a bigger picture. If my recall is super sharp and I'm on it, but everything else I give a delay, it's gonna affect the recall.
Yeah.
Everything has to be sit, boom, down, boom, heel, boom, come, boom. It has to be quick because it doesn't allow the brain to think otherwise.
For sure.
Okay, because dogs are reactionary animals. So like with Durango, when the rabbit went, boom, it was just go,
Yeah.
right? Because Roxy just went into prey,
Yeah.
and it's literally a flip.
Yeah.
And they just take off. So it's the same thing. If I call the dog and I just cement it in the brain, when I call you, it's boom, tap's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's an immediate return,
Yeah.
right? But so I give everyone the tools to get to that degree. Whether or not they reinforce it to that degree
Yeah.
is a totally different conversation.
Got it.
Okay? But yes, we want immediate response, especially for the recall.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's pointless.
Yeah.
Okay, so no matter what program that you do, 6, 9, or 12, your recall, you're going to have the tools to get there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, recall does take the longest to teach.
Yeah.
Because so heel is the fastest because people walk their dogs multiple times a day. Recall is the longest because it requires you to go somewhere. But also requires you to walk around distractions, squirrels, rabbits, other dogs, food. You know.
Yeah.
Because if you only work around, let's say traps, he'll be great at traps. But then if you go to like Wigglyville,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's not gonna be so
Right.
great because it's a totally new context. Dogs don't general as well when it comes to obedience. So then you have to expose them to different environments
Got
and
it.
practice.
Okay.
So recall takes the longest, okay? Sit, stay down place is really just dependent on you because you can do that stuff inside the home.
Yeah.
Okay, so heel and recall have to be done outside.
Yep.
The other ones can be done both inside and outside, right?
Okay.
So just depending on how much control you want, and how much time you put into it, just kind of determines how fast you progress.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Other questions?
I think so.
How much does this guy weigh?
I think he's like 55 to 60.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a big boy. So the color I recommend for him is it's a newer model. It's called the Ultra Black Edition, and Marie will send you this info.
Okay.
It's meant for 70 pounds and over.
Yeah.
But when you get a dog like this, because how old is he?
Almost 9. He's
Almost 9
he's gonna be like
months.
75.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say he's probably gonna fill out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're gonna want the bigger collar.
Yeah.
It's meant for dog his size, but also you want to think. So there's 3 factors that I look at when I'm determining what collar to recommend for the dog. Right. One is size. One is dogs are already physical animals, so they already tend to be physically tougher. The third is emotional state. Okay, which means is he in drive? Is he running because he's scared? Is the dog actively being aggressive? Right. So when you put all those 3 things together, we need power. Okay. So I have a client who's actually called CrossFit Traps. They just started yesterday. Michaela with Charlie, and she trained with another trainer with an e-collar. And then as soon as she told me the company, I already knew what the problem was. And the collar that they use is meant for 35-pound dogs and under.
Got it.
Okay, and that's a 90-pound dog.
Yeah.
So I told her, this is a big problem. Like, so we're gonna put the dog in the black edition. We're gonna use brown collar, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna see how we progress, right? But the first thing was I knew it was gonna be the collar, right? Because if you don't have the appropriate power for the size, so I think of it as boxing. If you put a featherweight against a heavyweight,
Yeah.
it's gonna be unfair. Right, so that's kind of what she had. She had a featherweight collar to a heavyweight dog, right?
Yeah.
So that's why she wasn't getting anywhere.
Yeah.
So we needed a heavyweight collar to communicate.
Yeah.
Because their dog has reactivity on leash. Social off leash, reactivity on leash.
Yeah.
Okay? So for this guy, if something happens, someone lights up a firework and you're caught off guard and he takes off running, I'm not worried about are you going to have enough power to override.
Yeah.
Like in the case of the rabbit, prey direct just kicked in. We need to override that.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is the dog is moving. So because they're moving, it's shifting the collar.
Yeah.
So then you also need power to make sure that you can get that contraction
Right.
going so the dog feels it. Okay? Questions?
I think so.
One of the most common questions I get is when does the e-collar go away?
Yeah.
And in my book, when you need it, it doesn't. Okay? So that's why the dogs at traps you'll see still have their collars on.
Yeah.
So if you do your homework and you follow through, you're consistent.
Yeah.
You're not always using it.
Right.
Okay? So you guys drive?
Yeah.
You go down the expressway?
Sorry, what was that?
Do you go on the expressway?
Oh yeah.
Do you go the speed limit?
You a little over sometimes.
Most people don't go
Yeah.
the speed limit.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's called opportunistic behavior.
Yeah.
If you see a squad car, what happens?
you go to speed limit.
You go to speed limit, you slow down, because now there's still enough consequence.
Yeah.
Right? So all animals do this. It's actually part of survival instinct. Okay, so if we take a pond of water and there's an alligator, and animals know it's there, they won't drink water.
Right.
Okay, they wait for it to leave and then they drink water.
Yeah.
Okay, opportunistic behavior.
Sure.
So for this guy, think of that e-collar as a cop on a collar. When it's present, he's going to be much more mindful. He's going to be well behaved and all that stuff, right? He's going to kind of think about his decisions. But then when you remove it, he's going to go back to his ways, right?
Yeah.
But inside the home, if you're like, hey, he's great when he's in the home, you don't need it.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a guest come over and he's a little bit too rambunctious in the beginning, you pop it on him, we calm him down, 15 minutes goes by, he settles, you can remove it, they're good. If you're going to be at the dog park, it's on, because there's other things.
For sure.
We can't account for life.
Right.
So like, my pit hates fireworks. My pit is fully off leash trained. I've had it for 8 to 9 years. We're walking down the boulevard here in Logan, August, October. And I didn't have e-collars on because they weren't going to be off leash, and my dogs were trained well. So I'm walking, and when I get to California, someone sets off a firework,
Yeah.
literally right next to us. And I just hear it go off, I'm like, no. And then she just starts going.
Yeah.
Right, she's in flight mode, she's anxious, she's like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting there like, man, like, it's August, October, why you gotta do that, right?
Yeah.
And had I had my e-collar, I could have gotten her back under control and helped her relax. But because I didn't, I had to deal with a very anxious, flighty dog on my way back home.
Yeah.
You know, so that stuff does happen.
Yeah.
It even happened to me. I was at Skinner Park in the West Loop with a client, and we were working with his dog, and someone set up a firework, and there was like a group of like 9 to 10 dogs.
Yeah.
And the moment I saw it go up, I right away started scouting because I was like, somebody's dog's gonna run away.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it blows up. All the dogs scattered. Luckily, nobody ran away.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so stuff like that happens. I had someone, they were walking down Broadway with their child in the stroller, and a bicyclist crashed behind them. And the crash scared the dog, and the dog flipped out and ran off. And the guy couldn't chase the dog because he had the kid in the stroller.
Yeah.
So, you know, shit happens.
Yeah.
So I for me, it's kind of like, if something happens, I'm not worried. I have the ultimate tool that's going to get my dog under control.
Yeah.
Okay? Questions?
I have a technical question. So you mentioned like up to 145 or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Like, how do you control that on the?
It's a dial.
So
So you
just
have
turn
an LED
it?
screen. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
you have an LED screen, and 0 to 127 in increments of 1.
Okay. So then, like, if let's just say he starts running, right? You have to account for the time to crank it up to like 80 or 90 or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a pretty quick. Like once you, I'd say. So if I see an emergency situation, I just tell people turn.
Got it.
Because you don't care what the number is.
Right.
You just care about overriding the dog.
Yeah.
Right. And with the e-collar, even if I go to 127 continuous,
Yeah.
the dog's not going to die. It's not electricity. It's just a contraction.
That's what I was gonna say. So like, if you go to like 127, let's just say something like accidental happens and you crank it up, and then like you don't realize like you want it to be on 50, and it's on 127. You do it continuously,
Mhm.
no harm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless your dog doesn't come back.
Okay.
That's the only harm that would, you know, happen
Not
if
from
the
the
dog
collar,
didn't come
though.
back.
Not from the
Correct.
collar. Okay.
Yeah, and I put up to 2 collars on a dog before.
Got
So
it.
I've had 2 highly aggressive, human aggressive cases in my career. There were 150-pound dogs that overrode
Wow.
1 maxed out collar.
Okay.
So we put 2. But it's just but since we had 2 sources of output,
Yeah.
the number was lower.
Okay.
So we're, you know, everybody has a breaking point. Okay? And it's just finding what that breaking point's gonna be.
Right.
99.9% of my dogs have always been fine on just 1 collar.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, those are 2 very highly aggressive, human aggressive, fearful dogs that were 150 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, so it was size, the emotional state, which is fear.
Yeah.
They were adrenalized because they're in aggression mode.
Yeah.
Right, all that stuff factored in is why they needed more power.
And so do you like your prior clients, like let's just say he's at Oz, where there's a lot of open space, and like if he breaks free, like you're really not in a lot of trouble until like 30 seconds or whatever it is. Do you like prior clients, like it's like, okay, I'm gonna go to Oz, I'm gonna like preset it at like 70 or something, whereas at Trebs, like if he breaks free or if a dog breaks free and is like 1 step out the park, it's like it's in serious trouble, they go to like 100, like when they just go to the park.
Because it's by the street. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So the way it works is, let's say you train here in my facility. His number might be 25 out of 127.
Yeah.
Everything's perfect.
Yeah.
Then we operate at 25.
Got it.
But then when you go to Trebs, there's more dogs, there's dog friends and all that stuff, more stimuli. What you'll come to learn is ranges.
Got it. Yeah.
Right? We're like, oh, we're going to Trebs. He's usually 45. Right? And when we put discipline on the brain, we don't get impulsive behaviors. Okay? I mean, I shouldn't say don't. Like, it can happen.
Yeah.
But it's rare.
Yeah.
Right? Because the dog, like this here, if he's in this state of mind, even when he's playing, like a dog can be in a passive state and be playing.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to when he was just all over the place, right? That's the mindset that's going to cause a dog to run.
Right.
Okay? This kind of mindset where he's like, okay, there's rules now. They're not so impulsive.
Yeah.
Because dogs very easily go 1, 2, 3, 4, 10.
Yeah.
Right? So if he's already at a 5 to 6, 10 is a very easy jump from there.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to 0, 1.
Right.
Okay? So once you learn, it's like very much logic based.
Yeah.
If it's like, oh, cool, we're going from Jesse's facility to Trebs, and we've already worked at Trebs a couple of times, and we have a general idea of what his range is going to be. You just go there naturally.
Okay.
Okay? And like in case of an emergency, again, it's either your dog's in the street or 127.
Yeah.
Right? That you at that point you're just kind of already there. The other thing that I do is I suggest people do is at some point in the training when they feel like you've done enough recall, is I'll tell them one day take your dog out in the long leash. Okay?
Yeah.
And max out the collar. And don't give your dog any command. Just randomly remote your dog at 127 while they're on the long leash. And they always ask why. And I said, well, in case of an emergency, do you really want to use 80? If 80 is not going to be 100%,
Yeah.
you're going to be at 127,
Yeah.
right? The other thing is people feel bad because they're like, crap, I'm at 127, right? My dog's going to yell, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And we go, yes. But what we do is what we call this is proofing, okay? In case of an emergency, if the dog takes off and I'm at 127, one, it's an emergency.
Yeah.
Your dog's running away. You're panicking. You're also having to go to 120/7, which you've never done before.
Yeah.
Right? If I do it in a controlled context, you're already kind of getting yourself over that mental hump.
Yeah.
Right? And the other thing is, if I 127 him and he freaks out and he tries to run away, well, guess what?
Yeah, you're good.
He's on the long leash.
Yeah.
And I can force the return with 127, which sucks.
Yeah.
But I've just now proofed my command.
Right.
So now, if there's an emergency situation, I've already done it before, and he's already done it before.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have an even higher chance of success.
Yeah.
Okay? So and I tell people, I mean, this is up to you. I suggest it, it's proving your obedience. We do it later on once we feel like we've done enough work.
Yeah.
Because if I 127 and the dog immediately runs back to me, perfect.
Yeah.
If they don't immediately run back to me, not a big deal, but then he's gonna have to just go under more pressure
Yeah.
before he returns.
Makes sense.
So, other questions?
So the ultimate goal will be like establish the boundaries on like the common areas that we go to with the collar, so we don't have to use it. It's just there's like a fail safe.
Correct.
And then, but my question is like that's like for like extreme scenarios, like if he goes and chases another dog into the street or whatever it is. But for like common behavior aspects, so like this, this isn't like a problem, but like sometimes like he likes to like not taunt other dogs, but like when he plays with them, he like likes to steal their toys and like run around with them. So like if some dog owners like that, some dog owners don't like that. So like in order to curb like those like not personality things, but like things that are just like things we should teach, is the collar the training technique, or is it like something else that we should be doing?
No, it's the same thing.
Okay.
So the e-collar can both teach them what to do and what not to do.
Okay.
Because it's an aversive. Okay. So we can use pressure to teach them to sit, to down, to down, to heel. We can do all that stuff. But like, let's say he takes a ball from a dog.
Yeah.
And the owner leads the dog back because it's their ball back because it's their ball. You know, you just tap, he spits it out.
Got it. Okay.
Get rid of that ball, right? Or you teach him drop or
Lower
whatever.
level or something. Or,
Correct, the lower level.
Yeah.
Because it's not an extreme behavior. Let's say, back with Roxy and Naranga, she had an incident in Laws Park where Roxy and another dog went after a tennis ball at the same time, and they triggered into a dog fight.
Oh.
And she had the 127 continuous, right? And Roxy went 80 out of there.
Yeah.
You know, so something like that where it's he's not doing anything bad, but
Yeah.
just him going after an object with another dog sparks
Yeah.
something.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay.
that's more of an extreme case.
Got it.
But like, let's say he's pressuring someone because they have treats in their pocket.
Yeah.
Right? You would start low level tapping,
Mhm.
and he's going, man, every time I try to pester this person for food,
Yeah.
this goes off. I'm gonna just leave him alone.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
he walks away. nothing
Perfect.
happens.
Got
Yeah.
it.
So it's like, again, the ultimate control.
Yeah.
So like our daycare here, a lot of our dogs are trained on e-collar bios. And there's a lot of dogs here that are great, and there's some that if you just don't taper them down, it just keeps going, right? And if we leave that unchecked, it can lead to a dog fight
Yeah.
because it's too much energy.
Yeah.
So the e-collar, we can also keep them at a 5 to 6 level of play as opposed to letting them get to a 10.
Got it.
Because all we're doing is saying, chill out, right?
Okay.
That's what another dog will do, is just nip them and say like, hey, calm down. Like,
Yeah.
That's too much energy here.
Right.
Okay, so it's a line of communication as well.
Got it.
When it comes to like the boundaries of not running away, the reason why that ends up happening is once we cover recall, if you work with a 30-foot leash, what dogs tend to develop is like a radius. And it becomes the length of the leash that you practice with a lot of time.
Yeah.
So like he'd have a 30-foot radius because he's thinking, hey, whenever I hit this range, this is typically when they call me back.
Yeah.
So that adds like a kind of boundary that prevents the dog from booking it.
Yeah.
You know, majority of the time if they see something outside of that. So if he's off leash running around you and like he sees one of his friends, 60 feet away, technically he really shouldn't care because it's outside of that 30-foot radius.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
But like, let's say he's a driving dog, because that's going to be the main thing you're probably going to struggle with
Mhm.
is drive.
Yeah.
Okay, is that you may need to do more management with him because he is so drivey.
Mhm.
As for the average dog that has minimal drive, they don't have to do as much.
Yeah.
Okay, because he's going to stimulate very quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
Other questions?
Is there, between the two of us, like, does one person need to sort of be in charge? Can we both equally
Oh, yeah.
learn to kind of?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
We want him to listen to you
Okay.
equally,
Yep.
right? What's great about the e-collar is, let's say you work with him first,
Yeah.
and he's terrible,
Yeah.
and by the time you're done, he's at your hip glued to you.
Yeah.
You hand the leash over to him, you're not gonna have to do any work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once we teach the concept, it very easily transfers to other people.
Okay.
So like, let's say you got a dog walker,
Yeah.
and they're willing to like do the e-collar and reinforce, you would just say, this is his number, this is how you use it, blah, 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 do this exercise, boom, it
Yeah.
just transfers
Okay.
over.
Got
The
it.
only way it doesn't transfer is if they're not using the appropriate levels,
Yeah.
or they're not, of course, reinforcing. So like, let's say his number is 45, for
Yeah.
example, and he's perfect at 45, and your dog walker feels bad, and they only go to like 25.
Yeah.
Well, clearly, he's not gonna behave for the dog walker because they're not going to 45.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When I get couples where one is softer than the other,
Mhm.
I can also compensate.
Mhm.
So like, if one person is more assertive with the dog, their number could be 20.
Yeah.
And the one that's more passive, their number is like 40. Because they have to compensate for the fact that they're passive with the dog.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
So it gives me a lot of gray area to work with, Essentially with the training, you're training as you go about your day.
Mhm.
The only real command that you need to like set time to practice for is the recall.
Okay.
The others sit, stay, down in place. It's like usually once you're teaching the skill, like here, go to your bed with
Mhm.
the e-collar. Once the dog learns the concept, I just tell people, don't worry about practicing, just apply it now.
Yeah.
The real dog training is applied dog training. Okay, whereas most people do their training for 5 to 10 minute session and then they hope it transfers to real life.
Yeah.
No, as soon as you learn the skills, you start applying it to life.
Okay.
And that's what ends up teaching, like, oh, like heal means to heal,
Yeah.
no matter where I'm at. Recall means to come back, no matter what I'm doing,
Yeah.
right? That's what makes it effective.
Got it.
Anything else?
I think so.
Mhm.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So then the collar recommend, black edition, Maria sent you that information. 6, 9, and 12, whatever one you want to do.
Yeah. We're probably leaning towards 6.
Yeah, that's usually the standard. People
Yeah.
just walk their dogs and want their dog to come back.
Yep.
Yeah.
If something comes up in the training behaviorally, and you're concerned about it, we can take a tangent and cover it. But if that behavior took like 3 classes, we may not cover everything
Yeah.
within that time frame,
Sure.
okay? But I always prioritize the essentials. heel and recall have to happen.
Yeah.
Everything else is kind of if you want it.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of like scheduling all that stuff, Maria will handle that.
Okay.
We've had, if it takes you a little bit to get back to you, I did 5 consultations yesterday.
Yeah.
We had 13 come in the last 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, right now it's just been
Yeah.
crazy. So she's getting back to everybody as quickly as she can. If you know you're good to go, you could come just walk out of here, shoot her an email, and say, Maria, sign us up for 6 classes.
Okay.
And then she'll just kind of put you in the queue.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she will reach out and follow up with the make and model that we suggest. When you get your collar, read your manual. Comes with a manual. Test it out, make sure it's working correctly. Don't do anything with him.
Yeah.
Your dial on the e-collar is LED screen. It should go up in increments of 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right?
Yeah.
Relatively smoothly. If you find that you go from 1 to 37 to 62, like it's just jumping, you have a lemon. Send it back, exchange it, let us know, we'll just push back a week or whatever.
Okay.
Because it is an electric device. It's rare, but it does happen.
Yeah.
Because if you show up and it's like jumping all over the place, unfortunately there's not much we can do with that. It's not gonna be beneficial to your dog.
Do you have to charge them ever?
It's a rechargeable lithium battery.
Okay.
So it's like a cell phone.
Got it.
Yeah, and that's like the most common thing that we get with them, is that the battery does die at some point, a couple of years, 3 years, whatever.
Okay.
And if that happens, if it's on your remote, you just go to the website, find your collar, find the battery for your collar, purchase it, 20, 30 bucks, replace it, and then you're good to go.
Okay.
Comes with a warranty as well. I believe it's a 1-year warranty. I think on Amazon you can extend it now to like 3 years if you want. So that's an option. Otherwise, I've had mine for 8 years, no issues.
Okay.
So it's an investment. They run about $325-ish with tax, but you're gonna have it for the life of your dog.
Yeah.
So, anything else?
I think that's it.
Yeah. Is it typically like your sessions are the weekends or during the week or whenever? Like,
Yeah, so I train at all times.
Okay.
Evenings and weekends tend to be my busiest because most people are 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And people are just starting to go back to those, seems like that 9 to 5 schedule with all of COVID and stuff.
Right.
So how soon you can start just depends on your availability with mine. Ideally, for the first class, you both want to be there. Ideally, for every class, you both want to be there.
Yeah.
But if one person is absent or whatever, that's fine. We're recording them, so you can always go back and watch the one that you missed.
Okay.
But definitely the first class is where a ton of information is given, and we're both learning it. So that's definitely the one you want to prioritize, that you both be there. Okay. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. I can only take you as far as you're willing to go.
Yeah.
So if your dog happens to be a very tough dog, whose number is 95, I'm just on the average, right? To make them like listen to stuff, and you're not willing to go to 95, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, I don't foresee any issues. Because he is a more kind of like anxious-based personality, e-collar is a stressor. So anxiety is a stress response. Okay. So during the training, in the beginning, you may see he looks actively more anxious.
Yeah.
It's part of the process. Okay. The more you expose him to it, then he gets over it.
Yeah.
What happens is people see the stress response, they feel bad, and they use it less. So then the dog never gets over it. So they stay stuck in this kind of limbo. Okay. So it's kind of like, firefighters don't want to fight fires by not fighting fires.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's stressful for them.
Yeah.
But eventually you do it so much that it's like your stress levels don't go as high. You get used to it. Like, okay, so what do I do?
It's fine. He doesn't like his harness, so we use his harness a lot.
Yeah. So other than that, we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
And then we'll give you all the information that you'll need.
Okay.
And then get you all situated.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right. It was a pleasure meeting you guys.
Thank
too.
you.
Perfect. I'm gonna release this guy.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Alright. Can we take it off?
Yes.
Alright.
There you go. Thank you. I'll help you guys out here. And then, did you find the parking that's at the end of the building?
Yeah, we're just out front.
Okay, cool. So I need